Hey Dynamo Nation, what's going on? My name is James. Thank you for joining me on this episode today. If you're new to the channel, new to Dynamo Nation, welcome. I appreciate you being here. If you're not subscribed, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. Definitely helps out the channel, helps me pump out more Dynasty content like this. And today's episode I felt was really important to get this out. Today is Tuesday. The NFL draft is just 2 days away on Thursday. And I wanted to put a list together for the community of players that we should probably be targeting right now. Most of these guys are going to be sitting on waivers, most likely. If they're not on waivers, you're probably able to trade for them dirt cheap right now. And I firmly believe these are players to target based on past production for some, past draft stock for some, and a change of scenery for others. And I wanted to bring this up. Every single year, we see players get traded, right, during draft season, during draft weekend, for pennies on the dollar. They go to new teams, maybe a better situation, a better quarterback, maybe a better offense that's more suited to their skill set. Whatever the case may be, we see this every single season. So there's a few players I want to go over, and I'm going to start with the ones that have recent draft capital but have just not panned out for whatever reason. And we've got 3 names there. The first is going to be N'Keal Harry, New England Patriots. Obviously, first-round draft pedigree. It has absolutely not worked in New England with Harry. For whatever reason, he has found himself in the doghouse. And I expect him to be gone. I don't expect him back in New England. And I think he's the type of player that Bill Belichick, come draft weekend, will absolutely trade to move up, from the 7th to the 6th round or the 6th to the 5th, whatever it might be. And Harry, to me, he's being rostered in under 70% of leagues right now. I think it's like on my fantasy league, it's somewhere in the mid-60s. That's a player to go grab and put on your bench, right? Burn a roster spot right now for him. Let's see what happens. There's a lot of teams out there that are really needy at wide receiver. One that comes to mind that just invested $230 million in 3 first-round picks into their quarterback is the Cleveland Browns. They have Amari Cooper, and outside of that, there's a whole lot of what-ifs. You look at that situation, if you get Harry there, former first-round pick that they take a flyer on, if things pan out with Watson, he's absolutely going to be in a prime position to produce. So this is a player likely sitting on waivers. It's going to cost you nothing. And, it's one of those guys. Take a shot. Let's see what happens. This is what smart management looks like in the offseason. Throw those darts, especially if they cost you nothing. Okay? The second player on that list is going to be Denzel Mims from the New York Jets. Same situation. That wide receiver room has gotten crowded, right? You got Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Braxton Berrios came on. We're going to see what happens with Mims. Is there space for him? Is he going to be a trade target? The Jets, obviously, with Zach Wilson, they're going to have to surround him with talent. And if they don't believe Mims is going to help them produce, he's going to be shipped out. And they're going to invest in that receiver position come draft time. Mims is another guy. High draft pedigree, has a chance in a new situation with a new quarterback, better system, to possibly produce. You never know. This is his 3rd season. Most receivers in the NFL break out in their 3rd season. To me, I'll take a chance on Mims. If he's sitting in free agency, again, this is something that's going to cost you nothing. I'm not advocating going out and trading for any of these first few players and giving up anything of substance for them. I'm saying check your waivers. If they're sitting there, create a roster spot for them, plant them, and let's see what happens this draft weekend. The third player on this list had some nice moments and then dealt with injury and now has a situation to where he has an elite quarterback. Okay, he did not have that before. 2nd round draft pedigree recently. KJ Hamler, Denver Broncos. KJ, there's rumors, reports coming out that he's been picking the brain of Lockett in Seattle on how to play with Russell Wilson. That's great if he assumes that role, right? There's a lot of mouths to feed in Denver right now at the receiver room. Judy, Cortland Sutton, all of that, Tim Patrick. But you have to take that chance on Hamler. He has shown flashes of being a pretty nice receiver. Now he's got Russell Wilson. Another player who's being rostered in under 70% of leagues on my fantasy league. Why not take that chance? If he's sitting there, go grab him. You literally are investing nothing. No resources are coming off your squad. You're not giving up picks. These are players most likely sitting on waivers. Go grab them and let's see what happens. Hamler's more of a long-term hold than the other two. The other two I would hold to see. Let's see what happens this weekend during draft. If they get dealt and they go to a nice spot, that could be a really interesting situation, especially someone you picked up for free. So those are 3 young players I would be on the lookout for. Check your waivers, see if they're there. Now, I want to talk about a couple of vets that are still unsigned in the NFL, and because of that, it creates an opportunity for us. And these guys are likely not going to be signed until after the draft, which means this might be our last window to buy extremely cheap. The first is Will Fuller. Again, with Will Fuller, I've talked about him on this channel plenty. He has talent. There's no disputing Will Fuller's talent when he's on the field. That's his biggest issue, though, is when he's on the field. How often that happens. Last time we seen him play, he was putting up wide receiver 1 numbers before he went down with the suspension. I've talked about the Browns already once, and I'm going to mention them a few more times. I'm going to mention them again right here. Will Fuller to the Cleveland Browns. If that were to happen, he would have a clear path to a shit ton of targets. Obviously, Deshaun Watson, that familiarity, they've already been rumored and linked together. Do not be shocked or surprised to see Will Fuller end up there. And this is a player right now on my fantasy league rostered in 71% of the leagues. So even with Fuller, there's a 30% chance he's sitting on waivers right now. If you're playing on my fantasy league, go grab him. Absolutely go grab him. And if he's not sitting on waivers and someone has him, at least kick the tires and see what it's going to cost. If it's going to be a low to mid-round rookie draft pick, I'm taking that chance. If I can get Will Fuller for a late 3rd, early 4th right now in a 12-team league, I'm going to roll the dice on that. Because I know what happens if he lands in Cleveland. And that is, I'm going to have 8 to 10 weeks of elite wide receiver play. I'm minimum. Hopefully he stays healthy. Maybe he's turned that corner. Whatever the reason, whatever the situation. I know if I get him on that team, he is going to produce. So Will Fuller is one to go grab right now. Like I said, 30% of leagues he's available. If he's on the waivers and you can grab him, amazing. Absolutely amazing. Because at this point, you're potentially adding a wide receiver 1, 2 for free come season if he lands with the right squad. Sticking with the Browns, Jarvis Landry. Landry has been linked to basically 2 teams. It's down to 2 teams. It's down to the Saints and it's down to going back to Cleveland. One or the other. The thing about Jarvis Landry that people tend to forget. Last year, he was dealing with injuries, right? Look at Landry's track record throughout the course of his career. He's either been a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2. And he has put up multiple wide receiver 1 years. Multiple. With the likes of, Ryan Tannehill and Baker Mayfield. Jarvis Landry, to me, is a very good wide receiver. He runs very good routes. He has great hands. He's not afraid to go out and make a play. Jarvis Landry was rumored when the thought was that Deshaun Watson was going to end up in Atlanta. He was rumored to be linked to going to Atlanta to play with Watson. Jarvis has not sold his home in Cleveland. He wanted to stick with the Browns. And it's legitimately down between him returning home to Louisiana or going back to Cleveland. My money's on Cleveland with Jarvis Landry. Deshaun Watson is a difference maker. We cannot overlook that. Landry goes back to Cleveland with Deshaun Watson, wide receiver 1 year this season. Worst case, wide receiver 2, as long as he's healthy. And that's a player you can get right now. It's basically a throw-in most trades. Again, for Landry, if I approach someone, if I'm a contending team and I can approach someone with a late 2nd or an early 3rd with a flyer throw-in to go grab Jarvis Landry, 110%. I do it 8 days out of the week. Monday through Saturday once and twice on Sunday. I'm doing it all day. And this is a player you can go grab on the cheap. So these are players. This is the moment. This is one of our last windows. I'm telling you guys right now. Pre-draft, this is one of our last windows to go grab those players where rumors are floating around about them. Go grab them. This player to be traded. This player to be released. Jarvis Landry is going to sign after the draft. Will Fuller, waiting until after the draft. Another player, news broke today on, who you can't deny his production in the past. A young receiver. He doesn't have the draft pedigree, but he's had on-field production, right? But recently, it's basically evaporated. But he's on the trade block. Darius Slayton. Slayton has shown us glimpses of being a very solid downfield threat. Very solid. When you have the Giants and you have the whole shenanigans situation going on with Daniel Jones and who knows what the hell's going on with the quarterback play, to me, Darius Slayton, that's another guy sitting on waivers. Go grab him. 100% go grab him. Let's see what happens. There's quite a few receivers. And this is a receiver-driven league, guys. Like, there's always going to be receivers that pop up yearly that produce. They come out of nowhere. Darius Slayton could be one of them. If he gets dealt, and he gets dealt to a good situation, look at Green Bay. Slayton to Green Bay. Imagine him with that situation going on in Green Bay and how needy they are at receiver. I mean, he could have a great year. So Darius Slayton, James Washington in Dallas. James Washington, when he was a young player, we've seen glimpses. There's some talent there. He goes to Dallas. CeeDee Lamb is there. He's going to draw all that coverage away. He's the bona fide wide receiver 1 now. But Dallas has a tendency for their wide receiver 2s and 3s to produce. Every single season, their 2s and 3s produce. It's a fact of life. James Washington is rostered in like 62% of leagues on my fantasy league. Go grab him. You've got nothing to lose. Grab him and stash him. Let's see what happens. If you're playing in deep leagues, 12, 14, 16 team leagues with large rosters, whatever it is, and these guys are sitting on waivers, go grab them. Like it's free. It's free currency. The thing is, they may be a one-hit wonder, one-year wonder. But if they pop off and they have a few good games at the beginning of the season, that gives you options. You can try to ride that wave, or you can cash out and get some draft picks for the following year. In-season management starts right now for Dynasty Leagues. This is it. This is the start of the season. Come the rookie draft, if you're not preparing and planning for stuff like this, you're behind the 8 ball. Go check in on these players. If they're sitting there on waivers, free, go grab them. If they're not, and the ones I can see who aren't, they're going to cost you a little bit. Obviously, Jarvis Landry, Will Fuller. Kick the tires. Let's see what happens. How much do you want? How much do you want for Jarvis Landry or for Will Fuller? If the price is right and it's decent, jump on it. You have to take these chances. If you don't take the chances in the offseason, you're not going to have the reward in season. And these players, if they hit in season, it's going to cost you a whole lot more than a 3rd round pick or a late 2nd round pick. If Jarvis Landry goes back to Cleveland and he instantly starts producing wide receiver 1 numbers again or wide receiver 2 numbers again, and we've seen him before catch over 100 passes, 1,000 yards. He's a multi-time Pro Bowler. He's a very good player. Like, don't get caught up with last year. He's a very good player. And if we see Landry doing that this season with Deshaun Watson, it's going to cost you a whole hell of a lot more in season to trade for him, especially if you have injuries at the position and so on and so forth. Go grab him. Kick the tires. Let's see what it's going to cost. He's absolutely a great play. One other player I want to mention who is not a receiver, but I really like the landing spot. I really like the talent, and I'm hoping that this player finally shows us something. And I only have hope based on his position, and this is a position that takes a while to develop and a while for us to see results. And that is O.J. Howard. Went to Buffalo. You have Josh Allen there. Yes, I know there's some competition at tight end, but I'm excited about that spot. I really am. Howard's a player, when he came out, he looked like a can't-miss prospect at tight end. It just didn't work in Tampa. It absolutely did not work in Tampa. Just when he thought he was going to have that chance, when Brady gets down there, what happens? Gronk comes in. Before that whole regime change, he's stuck in an offense that doesn't utilize him as a receiver. He's stuck in a blocking tight end scheme. It was just a bad, roll of the dice for OJ. He's in Buffalo now. Josh Allen showed us last year that he likes to throw the ball to that tight end. We've seen that. We absolutely seen that. If OJ gets going and builds some kind of rapport up, man, go grab him, guys. Like, he's another player rostered in 60% of leagues. Do a check. Do a roster check. If OJ's there, grab him. Absolutely grab him and stash him. That's a player to hold. Grab, stash, and let's see what happens. Let's get to the season with him. So, I hope you guys take this advice. Honestly, like, this isn't like any type of fluff. This is stuff that I do yearly. Go do an assessment of your league. See who's on waivers. look at their situation. Is there a potential for them to be cut or traded during or after the draft? If there is, and there's any type of real draft capital that's been invested in them, first, second round picks, grab them. And let's see what happens. They're going to get a second chance. Players like that do get a second chance. Especially third, fourth year in the leagues, they're going to get a second chance. If there's players still sitting on free agency in the NFL that have not signed yet, take a look at them. We've mentioned the Fullers and the Landrys. Take a look at them. Because after the draft, when teams have missed out on their receivers, they're going to sign. And a player like Landry, he's going to sign with a contender. I can almost guarantee that. At least someone who's got a chance to make the playoffs. Landry's not going to a rebuild. You look at KC, Green Bay, Cleveland. Like if Landry lands in any one of those spots, his stock goes up immediately. Same with Will Fuller. Fuller's been rumored with Green Bay before, been linked to Green Bay before. That can absolutely happen. Imagine Will Fuller with Pat Mahomes throwing him the ball. He would put up crazy numbers. Go check in on these guys. Grab them now. Because the moment they sign, stock went up. You missed out on the boat. So that's going to be it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to be doing more, I'm going to be doing more of these kind of videos moving forward. Just honestly, strategy. That's what this is. This is all strategy based. So remember, if you're still here, you liked it, hit that subscribe button. It definitely helps me out. I'm trying to make that push to 700. Let's keep it moving. So, all right, guys, have a great week. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.